News Mississippi.
For News Mississippi, I'm Courtney Carter, and this is the weekly rundown. Now, the top story of the week: corruption in the State Department of Corrections. Now, that's why the former Mississippi Department of Corrections Commissioner Chris Epps was indicted, and he actually pled guilty to charges along with Brandon businessman Cecil McCrory. They both pled guilty to charges of conspiracy and bribery. They were getting kickbacks for contracts that were being distributed amongst the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Now, another case has come forward, that of Jackson Dr. Carl Reddick. Now, what's being said from the Department of Justice is actually that Dr. Reddick, who owns a company, Health Assurance, was basically given a $29 million contract for healthcare among the state prisons, and he was making monthly payments to Chris Epps around $9,000 a month for several months during the year 2014. Now, that doctor actually went before the court yesterday. He stood before the judge and pleaded not guilty, but this case is far from over, as more indictments are expected to come forward next week, and News Mississippi will keep you updated on that. Now, something else that's going on this week: the Republican National Convention met in Cleveland, Ohio. Donald Trump officially named the Republican nominee, but moving forward, you'll see more involvement on the state level in his campaign. Governor Bryant taking the head of his campaign. He's actually asked State Treasurer Lynn Fitch to help as well by chairing a committee of women for that campaign. Now, the first thing that they will be doing to spread the Trump word here in Mississippi, bringing Donald Trump Jr. to the Neshoba County Fair. Now, the Neshoba County Fair, having someone like that here during an election year, that's par for the course for them. It's called Mississippi's Giant House Party, but the Neshoba County Fair is also the political center stage during election year. In fact, one of the biggest names to have ever spoken there back in the 80s, Ronald Reagan, took to the big pavilion and held the crowd's attention there as he was running for president. Now, this time, Donald Trump Jr. will not actually be holding a speech. He'll be getting down on the ground level, shaking hands and meandering, and maybe even having a funnel cake. And that fair actually starts today and runs through next week, and News Mississippi will keep you posted on his appearance. Also, speaking of state lawmakers being involved, this past legislative session was interesting enough, with filibusters, controversial laws that were signed, brought into law, and then blocked the day before they would have gone into effect. Now, the one thing that has stood the test of time from that legislative session: the case of the demon chipmunk. Now, bear with me here. In the state Supreme Court right now, you've got Philip Gunn versus Jay Hughes. And basically what this boils down to is, can the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, rule over proceedings in the legislative branch, which is your legislatures come into the state capitol to make these laws. Now, what Jay Hughes says, the Representative Jay Hughes says, is that when Philip Gunn had the bill reading machine turned up to demon chipmunk speed, super fast, where nobody could comprehend it, what happened there was that he actually robbed the people of the rights to have the bills read to them. Now, of course, Speaker Philip Gunn says that he didn't do anything wrong and that he was trying to keep to the deadlines that the legislature had previously set. Now, of course, the Supreme Court is still mulling over this, trying to decide what to do, and you can keep up with that on the News Mississippi app. And speaking of that app, if you don't have it, you can download it today. Just head to your app store for Android or iOS and search News Mississippi. It's free, and that's where you can get all the latest updates. For the weekly rundown, I'm Courtney Carter.